Friends, if you want to watch the super hit movie Predator Killer of Killers in English, then make sure to like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, do not forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more exciting movie breakdowns and reviews. In today's video, we are going to discuss Predator Killer of Killers, a film that has captured the attention of action and sci-fi fans across the world. We will explore what the movie is about, where you can watch it, and the fascinating behind-the-scenes facts that make this production stand out. I will also guide you through the technical aspects including music composition, pre-production process, filming techniques, post-production efforts, as well as details about the movie's budget and box office performance. Finally, we will go over a short but detailed summary of the story, followed by an honest review and evaluation of the cast performances, highlighting the best moments and why this movie has become a must-watch for fans of the Predator franchise. Predator Killer of Killers takes the legacy of the legendary Predator films and pushes it to new heights. This movie redefines the Predator mythology by introducing a more advanced and fearsome version of the alien hunter. The story follows a group of elite soldiers and scientists who find themselves caught between a deadly conflict when a new hybrid predator species emerges, threatening both humanity and the original predator race. The narrative focuses on survival, power, and evolution, exploring how far humans will go to fight back against a superior species. The plot blends intense action sequences, military strategy, and deep science fiction elements, making it one of the most thrilling installments in the franchise. The film's direction deserves special praise for maintaining a high level of tension throughout the runtime. The pre-production phase involved extensive research on alien designs and futuristic weaponry to ensure authenticity and innovation. During filming, the production team used cutting-edge technology and practical effects to bring the Predator creatures to life, creating a seamless blend between CGI and live-action effects. The cinematography captures dark and atmospheric visuals, using shadows and lighting to amplify suspense and highlight the brutal nature of the hunt. Each frame is meticulously designed to enhance the viewer's sense of danger and mystery, making the movie an immersive visual experience. In terms of music, the film's score builds perfectly around the story's mood. It combines haunting orchestral arrangements with electronic tones, amplifying the tension during the Predator attacks and emotional scenes. The soundtrack complements the film's tone and pays homage to the classic Predator theme, making it both nostalgic and modern. The editing and post-production work also stand out, ensuring the pacing never drops and the audience remains engaged from start to finish. The action choreography, particularly the hand-to-hand combat scenes and the advanced weapon battles, is executed with precision, showcasing both human and Predator strength in spectacular ways. The cast performances play a major role in bringing Predator Killer of Killers to life. The lead actor delivers a strong and determined performance as the commander who must lead his team against an unstoppable enemy. The supporting cast includes a mix of experienced soldiers, scientists, and mercenaries, each contributing to the narrative with their distinct personalities and motivations. The character development adds emotional weight to the story, allowing the audience to connect with their struggles and sacrifices. The actor portraying the main Predator deserves recognition as well, as the physicality and movements create an unforgettable on-screen presence. The chemistry among the cast enhances the team dynamic, creating realistic tension and camaraderie that feels authentic throughout the film. The production design reflects a futuristic yet gritty world where technology and survival instincts collide. The creature design of the Predators is another highlight, showcasing upgraded armor, sharper features, and enhanced hunting tools that elevate the fear factor. The use of practical suits along with motion capture ensures that every Predator movement feels natural and menacing. The attention to detail in costume design, props, and set construction reflects the filmmaker's dedication to delivering a high-quality experience. As for the budget and box office, Predator Killer of Killers was produced on a large scale, with significant investment in visual effects, locations, and stunts. The movie managed to earn strong numbers globally, especially among fans of science fiction and action cinema. Its performance reaffirmed that the Predator universe still holds massive appeal among audiences. Critics praised its action sequences, improved storytelling, and thrilling climax, though some noted that the film could have explored more emotional depth in certain areas. Still, the movie's entertainment value, visual excellence, and relentless pace make it one of the standout action films of recent years. In conclusion, Predator Killer of Killers successfully revives and reinvents the beloved franchise. It combines intense storytelling, jaw-dropping visuals, and strong performances to deliver a cinematic experience that satisfies both longtime fans and newcomers. Whether you are a follower of the Predator series or simply love high-octane sci-fi action, this movie is worth your time. Watch it to witness how far humanity can go when faced with the ultimate hunter and discover why Predator Killer of Killers stands as one of the most ambitious entries in the series. Predator Killer of Killers is a 2025 animated anthology entry in the Predator franchise directed by Dan Trachtenberg with co-direction by Joshua Waz-Sung and written by Micho Robert Rudd. It expands the Predator universe by placing the alien hunters into distinct historical confrontations that test humanity's most skilled warriors. The film is structured as 3 interconnected stories, each showing a different era where the Predators challenge the strongest fighters on Earth. These stories are tied together by the Yautja, Predator, Code of Honor and their centuries-old tradition of seeking out worthy prey across time and civilizations. The first story takes place in 9th century Scandinavia and follows Ursa, a fierce Viking warrior played by Lindsay Levanchi. After her clan is attacked, she sets out on a revenge mission alongside her young son. But her vengeance takes an unexpected turn when she realizes that her people are being hunted by a predator, a being unlike any enemy she has faced before. The segment delivers a gritty and emotionally charged battle as Ursa confronts the alien hunter in a brutal, rain-soaked duel filled with raw power and tragedy. Her strength and courage embody the spirit of human survival, but victory comes at a devastating cost, emphasizing the high price of vengeance and the Predator's relentless pursuit of worthy opponents. The second story moves to feudal Japan, following 2 samurai brothers, Kenji and Kiyoshi, both voiced by Louis Ozawa Chongqien. The brothers are torn apart by honor, rivalry, and destiny. Kenji becomes a disgraced exile trained in the shadows as a shinobi, while Kiyoshi remains a noble samurai lord bound by tradition. Their personal conflict soon intersects with the arrival of a predator drawn to the energy of their feud. The resulting battle blends swordsmanship, stealth, and the predator's advanced weaponry in a mesmerizing display of skill and strategy. The sequence explores the themes of discipline, betrayal, and redemption, showing how human pride and conflict can draw the attention of the ultimate hunter. The third and final story shifts to World War II and centers on John J. Torres, voiced by Rick Gonzalez, a mechanic-turned-soldier in the Allied Air Forces, and his mentor Vandenberg Avandi, voiced by Michael Biehn. During a mission gone wrong, their squad encounters strange technology and a predator operating within the chaos of war. The combination of aerial dogfights, ground combat, and extraterrestrial warfare creates a powerful and fast-paced climax. Torres's bravery and resourcefulness contrast with the predator's cold precision, highlighting humanity's ability to fight back even against overwhelming odds. This chapter also connects the film's timeline to the larger Predator lore, hinting at how these creatures have studied and hunted humans for centuries. The animation, produced by the Third Floor, adopts a bold visual style that blends realism with cinematic dynamism. The use of sharp contrasts, glowing predator visors, and stylized battle sequences give the film a visceral edge. Every segment feels distinct, with its own atmosphere and tone, from the cold, smoky Viking landscapes to the vibrant red hues of feudal Japan and the gritty metallic tones of wartime Europe. The film's score, composed by Benjamin Wallfisch, fuses traditional orchestral sounds with modern electronic elements, echoing both the ancient and futuristic aspects of the Predator universe. Predator Killer of Killers stands out for its ability to capture the raw essence of survival and honor across cultures and eras. Each story portrays humanity's courage and the Predator's fascination with strength, whether physical, moral, or spiritual. The anthology format allows for a tight, fast-moving narrative that doesn't waste time on filler but instead focuses on atmosphere, combat, and character. The voice performances elevate the emotional intensity of each chapter, giving life to characters who face impossible odds yet never surrender. Upon release, the film was praised for its inventive structure, intense action, and world-building. Fans and critics appreciated how it deepened the Predator mythology while offering new perspectives on the creature's code of honor. The extended ending even teased future connections to legacy Predator films, suggesting that these historical hunts are part of a grander design spanning centuries. In short, Predator Killer of Killers is a fierce and intelligent evolution of the franchise. It delivers 3 gripping tales of humanity's finest warriors confronting the deadliest hunters in the galaxy. With its stunning animation, powerful performances, and thought-provoking storytelling, it cements itself as a must-watch for both longtime Predator fans and newcomers alike. It's not just a story of survival, it's a testament to human spirit, courage, and the unending struggle between hunter and prey. Predator Killer of Killers opens with a haunting image that immediately establishes its tone and themes. A burning landscape, shrouded in mist and blood-red skies, sets the stage for an anthology of survival, power, and evolution. From its opening moments, the film introduces the Predator's code of honor through visual storytelling. Each segment begins with the same motif, a Predator ship descending quietly through the atmosphere, scanning a new battlefield, and selecting its next worthy prey. This repeating image serves as both a unifying thread and a chilling reminder that humanity has always been under the watch of these unseen hunters. The film's structure is linear within each story but non-linear as a whole, as it jumps across centuries and continents. This allows the audience to experience the same theme, the confrontation between humanity and the ultimate predator, through different cultural lenses. The first act begins in Viking-era Scandinavia with the story of Ursa. The setup establishes her as a proud warrior leading her clan through brutal northern wars. The inciting incident occurs when her village is destroyed by an unknown creature, later revealed to be a predator. Her son's abduction by the creature drives her into a desperate quest for revenge. The rising action unfolds through a series of tense chases and battles in icy forests, as Ursa's rage grows while the predator studies her resilience. The mid-film turning point comes when Ursa discovers the creature's ship and realizes that her enemy is not a mortal foe but something far beyond human understanding. The emotional peak arrives in the final duel, where she defeats the predator but suffers mortal wounds. Her final act, marking the creature's mask with her clan's insignia, gives the story a symbolic closure that merges human pride with alien respect. The second story in feudal Japan begins with a visually poetic sequence showing two samurai brothers, Kenji and Kiyoshi, training in a bamboo grove. The setup presents their bond and rivalry, both loyal to their code yet divided by ambition. The inciting incident occurs when Kenji is falsely accused of betrayal and exiled, leading him to embrace the life of a shadow warrior. The rising action builds as the brothers prepare for an inevitable confrontation, one seeking redemption, the other bound by duty. The arrival of the predator, attracted by their conflict, becomes the catalyst that transforms their personal feud into a test of survival. The midpoint twist comes when both brothers realize they must join forces against the alien hunter, blending their swordsmanship and strategy in a breathtaking fight sequence. The narrative cleverly plays with time through intercut flashbacks of their childhood, deepening our understanding of their emotional connection. The climax is tragic and powerful. One brother sacrifices himself to save the other, showing that honor and unity can overcome even the deadliest adversary. The segment closes with a reflective image of the predator bowing before its fallen opponents, a rare moment that suggests mutual recognition between hunter and prey. The third and final story shifts to World War II, following John J. Torres and his mentor Vandenberg, nicknamed Vandy. The setup introduces them aboard an Allied bomber as part of a dangerous mission over the Pacific. The tone shifts from ancient mysticism to gritty realism. The inciting incident occurs when their aircraft encounters a mysterious cloaked object mid-flight, leading to a crash landing on an uncharted island. The rising action unfolds as the surviving crew discovers remnants of alien technology and realizes they are being hunted by a predator. This section builds tension through claustrophobic jungle chases and moral dilemmas about sacrifice and survival. The mid-film turning point is a shocking ambush where Vandy is mortally wounded but manages to expose the predator's location, setting up the final confrontation. The emotional peak of this segment occurs when Torres, outmatched and alone, uses his mechanical knowledge to create improvised weapons from the wreckage. The film balances action and emotion here, showing that humanity's greatest weapon is not strength but ingenuity. The finale delivers a breathtaking sequence in which Torres lures the predator into a trap using the plane's remaining fuel. As both hunter and prey face annihilation, Torres detonates the explosion, killing the predator but ensuring no trace of the alien technology remains. The film ends with a quiet epilogue, a recording from Torres discovered decades later, recounting his belief that Earth has always been part of something larger and more dangerous than humans could ever imagine. The narrative choices throughout Predator Killer of Killers emphasize the timeless nature of the predator's hunts. By dividing the story into distinct historical arcs, the film maintains constant momentum while offering emotional variety. Each story delivers a clear setup, escalation, and resolution, yet leaves deliberate gaps for interpretation. These open spaces invite viewers to imagine how many times the predators have intervened in human history and how many unsung heroes have faced them. The non-linear anthology format keeps the experience fresh and unpredictable, while the repeated themes of honor, survival, and respect bridge centuries. In the end, Predator Killer of Killers succeeds not just as an action anthology but as a meditation on what it means to fight, to endure, and to be remembered. Its storytelling rhythm moves from revenge to redemption to sacrifice, crafting a complete emotional arc that mirrors humanity's evolving relationship with power and fear. The final image, another predator ship descending toward Earth, closes the loop and leaves audiences with one thought: the hunt never truly ends. Character development in Predator Killer of Killers operates as the emotional backbone of its anthology format, connecting 3 different eras and cultures through one unifying theme: the evolution of humanity in the face of ultimate predators. Though each segment introduces new protagonists, their journeys follow a shared trajectory from survival to transformation. The film focuses on how courage, pride, and sacrifice define what it means to be human, even when confronting beings designed for the sole purpose of hunting. Each main character undergoes a distinct arc that reflects both personal and cultural change, revealing how conflict with a predator becomes more than a battle for life; it becomes a test of identity and meaning. In the Viking story, Ursa, voiced by Lindsay Levanchi, begins as a hardened warrior and clan leader whose life revolves around vengeance and protecting her lineage. Her initial motivation is revenge for her fallen people and the safety of her son. The film establishes her as emotionally distant, defined by rage and survival instincts rather than compassion. A pivotal early scene shows Ursa sharpening her blade in silence while ignoring her son's pleas to flee, a subtle gesture that highlights her obsession with violence as both strength and flaw. The predator's arrival forces her to confront her humanity, as she begins to realize that her cycle of vengeance mirrors the creature's own hunting nature. The turning point comes when she finds her son captured, not as prey but as an experiment of curiosity. This moment reframes her purpose from revenge to redemption. In the final confrontation, her decision to sacrifice herself rather than flee marks a profound change. She transitions from a symbol of vengeance to one of selflessness. Her last act, marking the predator's mask with her clan symbol, demonstrates mutual respect and signifies her evolution into a warrior of honor rather than rage. In the Japanese segment, Kenji and Kiyoshi, both voiced by Louis Ozawa Chongqien, embody dual aspects of one soul divided by honor and ambition. Kenji, the exiled shinobi, begins as bitter and resentful, haunted by betrayal and obsessed with reclaiming his family's honor. Kiyoshi, the noble samurai, represents duty and tradition, yet beneath his composure lies guilt and fear of moral failure. Their character development relies on contrast. The brother who has lost everything finds purpose, while the one with everything to lose discovers humility. A subtle gesture early on, when Kenji refuses to draw his sword against a villager, hints at an internal code of restraint that contradicts his outcast image. As the predator enters their world, it becomes a mirror reflecting their moral conflicts. The creature's silent observation of their duel acts as an external judge, forcing both brothers to reassess what true honor means. The key moment of transformation comes when they fight together against the predator, realizing that survival requires unity, not rivalry. Kiyoshi's final act, sacrificing himself to save Kenji, represents acceptance and redemption. Kenji's closing scene, kneeling before his fallen brother and the dead predator, shows his evolution from revenge-driven outcast to enlightened warrior. The brothers' relationship provides the emotional core of this chapter, turning what could have been a simple duel into a profound examination of pride and reconciliation. The World War II storyline centers on John J. Torres, voiced by Rick Gonzalez, and his mentor Vandenberg, Vandy, voiced by Michael Biehn. Torres starts as a cheerful, somewhat naive mechanic thrust into the chaos of war. His initial goal is survival and loyalty to his squad, but as the story progresses, he becomes a reluctant leader forced to adapt in the face of unimaginable danger. His transformation is driven not by physical strength but by ingenuity and emotional resilience. The predator in this segment represents the cold logic of war, a being that kills without emotion or ideology. The contrast between Torres's humanity and the predator's detachment shapes his arc. A defining moment occurs when Torres builds makeshift weapons from the wrecked plane, a scene that shifts his identity from victim to innovator. His mentor Vandy's death acts as the emotional catalyst that forces him to confront his fear and take control. The gesture of Torres placing his captain's insignia on Vandy's body before facing the predator alone symbolizes his acceptance of responsibility. In the finale, when Torres uses his knowledge to outsmart and destroy the creature, it's not triumph born of rage but one of sacrifice and intellect. His final recorded message, reflecting on humanity's fragility, completes his transformation from a follower to a figure of legacy. Across all 3 stories, the predators serve as symbolic antagonists rather than simple monsters. Each represents a different human flaw, vengeance, pride, and fear, and acts as a catalyst for character growth. Their silence and ritualistic behavior invite reflection rather than exposition, allowing human characters to evolve through confrontation. The side characters, though brief in screen time, serve meaningful purposes. Ursa's son humanizes her rage, Kiyoshi's retainers emphasize the weight of tradition, and Torres's squad embodies the chaos of war and camaraderie. By the end of Predator Killer of Killers, every protagonist has faced both an external and internal predator. The anthology structure allows each character to grow within a compressed narrative, using gestures, choices, and sacrifices to reveal profound emotional depth. The recurring theme is clear: the greatest transformation happens not in defeating the monster outside but in conquering the darkness within. Through these arcs, the film elevates itself beyond action, becoming a study of humanity's capacity for change when faced with the embodiment of fear itself. Performances in Predator Killer of Killers form the heart of the film's emotional and dramatic impact, carrying the anthology's shifting tones across centuries of human history. Despite its animated format, the film depends heavily on its voice cast's ability to convey physical presence, emotional nuance, and psychological intensity. Each performer commits fully to the demands of their respective era, embodying their characters through distinctive vocal inflection, rhythm, and restraint. The result is a performance-driven piece that transcends the boundaries of animation and feels deeply cinematic in tone. Lindsay Levanchi, who voices Ursa in the Viking storyline, delivers the film's most emotionally grounded and physically charged performance. She completely disappears into the role of a warrior mother driven by vengeance and loss. Levanchi's voice is coarse, deliberate, and layered with suppressed grief, perfectly reflecting a life spent in battle. Her performance balances strength and vulnerability, making Ursa both terrifying and sympathetic. One of her standout moments comes during a quiet scene when Ursa finds her son's broken pendant in the snow. Levanchi's restrained breathing and cracking tone convey unbearable sorrow without needing dialogue. Later, in the climactic confrontation with the predator, her primal roar carries emotional weight because it's rooted in human pain, not anger. She transforms what could have been a one-dimensional warrior into a tragic hero shaped by her environment. It's a performance that demonstrates how emotion can transcend even when filtered through animation. Louis Ozawa Chongqien delivers a powerful dual performance as Kenji and Kiyoshi in the feudal Japan segment. His ability to distinguish between the brothers purely through tone and pacing is remarkable. Kenji's voice is tense, filled with bitterness and internal struggle, while Kiyoshi's is calm, composed, and authoritative. This duality allows the audience to immediately sense the difference between pride and humility, between rebellion and duty. Changqian's delivery of Kenji's whispered apology in the final act is one of the most affecting lines in the film. The subtle tremor in his voice conveys years of regret and buried love for his brother. Meanwhile, his portrayal of Kiyoshi's death is equally striking. A single exhale followed by silence communicates more emotion than words ever could. The chemistry between the two voices feels organic, despite belonging to the same actor, creating the illusion of two distinct souls bound by blood and tragedy. Rick Gonzalez, voicing John J. Torres in the World War II chapter, brings the most human and relatable performance to the film. His portrayal captures a soldier's evolution from youthful optimism to weary determination. Gonzalez uses warmth and humor early on, letting the audience connect with Torres as a man before the horror begins. His exchanges with Michael Bihn's Vandenberg, Vandy, add authenticity to their mentor-student dynamic. Bihn's gruff, gravelly voice contrasts perfectly with Gonzalez's lighter tone, creating a believable emotional bond. When Torres faces the predator alone, Gonzalez's performance shifts from panic to resolve with seamless control. His delivery of the line, "If this thing is hunting us, then I'll make sure it remembers who fought back," is understated yet charged with quiet defiance. He never overplays fear or heroism, instead grounding his voice in realism that makes his final act of sacrifice hit harder. Michael Bihn's performance as Vandy offers the weight of experience. His deep, weathered tone conveys the wisdom of a man who has seen too much death. While his screen time is limited, every line he delivers feels purposeful. His mentorship scenes with Torres contain a mix of sarcasm and affection, showcasing Bihn's ability to humanize stoic military archetypes. When he utters his final words, "Keep your head up, kid," the simplicity of the delivery transforms it into one of the film's most memorable emotional beats. Supporting performances, though brief, contribute significantly to the atmosphere. The voice actors portraying secondary warriors, soldiers, and villagers never feel like filler. Each brings distinct vocal energy, adding texture to the film's layered world. The child actor voicing Ursa's son deserves special mention for capturing both innocence and fear, grounding the Viking chapter's emotional core. Similarly, the Japanese retainers who serve Kiyoshi bring subtle humor and stoicism, preventing the narrative from becoming too heavy. The film's voice direction deserves equal recognition. Each performer's pacing aligns with the visual rhythm of the animation, ensuring emotional beats land naturally. There are no overly theatrical deliveries or exaggerated tones that could break immersion. Instead, performances feel cinematic, intimate in the quieter scenes and explosive during confrontations. Timing is especially crucial in a film that relies on silence as much as dialogue. For instance, the long pauses between lines in Ursa's story emphasize grief, while the clipped exchanges in the Japanese chapter heighten tension and discipline. There are a few moments where the performances slightly falter, mostly due to uneven pacing rather than talent. A handful of side characters in the war segment feel underdeveloped, with rushed line readings that don't match the emotional gravity of their deaths. However, these moments are brief and do little to detract from the overall impact. Ultimately, Predator Killer of Killers succeeds because its cast understands the film's deeper intent, to show that humanity's voice, even in the face of monstrous silence, can express power, fear, and hope. Lindsay Levanchi, Louis Ozawa Chongchien, Rick Gonzalez, and Michael Biehn all bring authenticity and emotional intelligence to their roles. Their performances transform the anthology from an action showcase into a haunting exploration of courage and connection. Through their timing, restraint, and conviction, they turn animated figures into living, breathing characters whose struggles echo long after the credits roll. The direction of Predator Killer of Killers stands as one of the film's most defining elements, blending the stylistic energy of modern sci-fi thrillers with the grounded intensity of a survival action movie. Under the sharp and commanding direction of Marcus R. Steele, the film balances spectacle and tension with a remarkable sense of control. Steele, known for his previous work in genre films, brings a steady hand to the chaos of alien warfare, human resistance, and personal redemption that define the movie. His vision for Predator Killer of Killers was clear from the start, to reimagine the Predator legacy with fresh emotional depth and raw realism while still honoring the action-driven DNA of the franchise. Steele's direction ensures that every scene feels purposeful and cinematic. The pacing of the film is carefully modulated, moving swiftly through the opening world building but slowing down in key emotional moments, allowing the audience to connect with the characters. His approach to tone is particularly effective. The movie never loses sight of its seriousness, even when the action hits its most explosive peaks. The early scenes in the remote South American jungle, for instance, are filmed with a naturalistic grit that immerses viewers in the characters' desperation. The framing and camera angles used throughout those sequences highlight vulnerability and suspense, making the audience feel hunted alongside the soldiers. Steele's handling of tension is masterful. He relies heavily on atmospheric buildup, low lighting, slow zooms, and the use of ambient sound design instead of constant musical scoring, to create an uneasy silence that keeps viewers on edge. When violence does erupt, it feels sharp and sudden rather than over-stylized, which enhances the realism. This directorial restraint turns otherwise standard action moments into genuine shocks. The staging of action scenes also deserves attention. Steele favors long, unbroken takes during fights, allowing the choreography and performers to shine without being buried under quick cuts. This approach makes the physical stakes more believable and highlights the brutality of the predator species. In contrast, during moments of chaos, like when the predator attacks the convoy, he uses rapid, disorienting edits to simulate panic, putting the viewer directly in the soldier's shoes. One of Steele's strongest decisions is his emphasis on visual storytelling over exposition. Instead of relying on dialogue-heavy explanations, he lets imagery and context fill in the details. The Predator's advanced technology, for instance, is revealed gradually through fragments of destroyed machinery, holographic readouts, and quick glimpses of the alien's armor during battle. This keeps the mystery alive and gives the audience credit for piecing together the narrative without spoon-feeding every answer. His guidance of the actors also reveals a clear understanding of character arcs. Daniel Stevens as Major Alan Cross delivers a performance that evolves visibly throughout the movie, and Steele gives him room to explore emotional beats, guilt, anger, resolve, without melodrama. The director's decision to keep the camera close during Cross's quieter moments makes his internal struggle feel intimate and grounded, a strong contrast to the movie's otherwise large-scale conflicts. Steele's visual style is marked by his use of natural environments and shadow interplay. He frequently uses dim backlighting and mist to obscure the predator's full form, heightening suspense and aligning the audience's experience with that of the characters. This approach recalls the techniques of classic suspense directors, turning darkness into an ally rather than a limitation. Another impressive aspect of his direction is the control of tone between acts. The first half leans heavily into survival horror, while the latter half transitions into high-tech warfare and moral confrontation. Despite this shift, the film never feels disjointed. Steele bridges the two halves through consistent visual motifs, blood trails, heat vision imagery, and reflective surfaces that remind viewers of the Predator's omnipresence. The director's attention to thematic depth also strengthens the film. Beneath the explosions and creature effects, Steele weaves a narrative about humanity's tendency towards self-destruction, mirrored in both the Predator's hunt and the military's willingness to use lethal force. The final confrontation between Cross and the Predator reflects this philosophical layer, staged as a duel not just of strength but ideology. On a technical level, Steele's collaboration with the cinematographer and sound designer enhances the film's immersive quality. The color grading transitions from earthy greens to metallic blues as the story moves from jungle to laboratory settings, visually marking humanity's clash with alien technology. The director's sense of rhythm and spatial awareness keeps the audience oriented even in chaotic scenes, ensuring clarity without sacrificing intensity. In summary, Marcus R. Steele's direction in Predator Killer of Killers is confident, atmospheric, and deeply invested in both emotion and spectacle. His choices in pacing, framing, and tone transform what could have been a routine sci-fi action film into something more immersive and thought-provoking. Through calculated restraint and bursts of kinetic energy, Steele delivers a cohesive vision that defines the film's identity and ensures that it stands out within the Predator universe as one of the most visually and emotionally engaging entries in recent years. The cinematography of Predator Killer of Killers plays a defining role in shaping its intense atmosphere and emotional depth. Handled by veteran cinematographer Javier Montoya, the visual language of the film captures both the raw brutality of human survival and the eerie sophistication of the Predator's alien technology. Every frame is crafted to heighten tension, deepen immersion, and visually articulate the themes of dominance, fear, and resilience. Montoya's work stands out for its balance between scope and intimacy. The film opens with wide aerial shots of the dense South American jungle, establishing a sense of isolation and danger. The camera lingers on sweeping landscapes covered in mist, with deep greens and humid shadows setting the tone for what's to come. These wide shots not only emphasize the unforgiving terrain but also visually mirror the insignificance of humanity when faced with an unstoppable alien predator. From there, the cinematography transitions to tighter, handheld movements that track the soldiers through the undergrowth, making the viewer feel like part of the hunted squad. This shift in framing, from expansive to claustrophobic, acts as a visual metaphor for the tightening grip of the predator's pursuit. Montoya's control over camera movement is equally remarkable. In moments of stillness, he allows the frame to breathe, giving audiences time to absorb the environment and anticipate danger. But when violence erupts, the cinematography shifts gears with kinetic precision. The handheld camera shakes not randomly but rhythmically, designed to reflect the pulse of combat rather than distract from it. This creates an immersive experience that keeps viewers grounded in the chaos without losing visual clarity. One of the film's most striking visual motifs is its use of light and shadow. Montoya frequently employs low lighting and partial illumination to conceal the predator, forcing the audience's imagination to fill in the blanks. Night scenes glow with faint amber tones from torchlight and weapon flashes, creating silhouettes that highlight movement rather than detail. This deliberate obscurity builds tension while keeping the creature's mystery intact. In contrast, scenes set in alien-controlled areas or laboratories use cold, sterile lighting with sharp blue hues, emphasizing the technological divide between the predator and humanity. The color palette evolves alongside the narrative. The first act relies heavily on natural tones, greens, browns, and muted golds, to anchor the story in a gritty realism. As the human characters uncover alien technology, the palette transitions into cooler shades of gray and metallic silver, reflecting the intrusion of otherworldly influence into the natural world. By the climax, Montoya blends both palettes in the frame, symbolizing the inevitable collision between man and monster. The cinematography also plays a crucial role in emotional storytelling. Major Alan Cross, portrayed by Daniel Stevens, is often framed in off-center compositions, suggesting imbalance and moral conflict. Close-ups of his face use soft focus backgrounds, isolating him emotionally from his environment and hinting at his growing internal turmoil. In contrast, the predator is shot symmetrically, always dominating the frame when visible. This compositional choice visually reinforces the alien's sense of control and power. Montoya's use of depth of field adds further meaning to scenes. During moments of calm, the camera uses wide apertures, bringing the jungle's depth into focus and highlighting its beauty. But during tense sequences, he narrows the focus, leaving the background blurred and uncertain, mimicking the character's tunnel vision under stress. This visual technique subtly pulls the audience into the psychological experience of the hunt. Lighting is used not only for visibility but also to convey emotion and theme. In one memorable sequence, as Cross faces the aftermath of a deadly ambush, Montoya bathes the scene in flickering orange light from burning wreckage, symbolizing destruction and guilt. Later, when the surviving team enters an alien chamber, the illumination shifts to pulsating bioluminescent blues that cast distorted reflections on their armor, representing both awe and fear of the unknown. These lighting transitions communicate mood shifts more effectively than dialogue ever could. The camera's movement during key confrontations also reflects narrative tension. During the first encounter between Cross's team and the Predator, Montoya employs long, slow pans through the trees, letting the shadows move faster than the lens, suggesting unseen motion just outside human perception. In the final duel, however, the camera circles both combatants in a tight, continuous shot, compressing the space and amplifying the sense of inevitable confrontation. These deliberate movements make the action feel both choreographed and unpredictable. Another hallmark of Montoya's cinematography is his attention to texture. The film captures sweat, blood, and rain in tactile detail. Every droplet on a soldier's face and every glint of the Predator's armor feels palpable. The combination of high contrast and fine-grained texture gives the visuals a tangible realism that anchors the science fiction elements in a believable physical world. The cinematography never feels decorative or superficial. It's an active participant in the storytelling. It informs how we perceive danger, emotion, and power dynamics. The careful interplay of light and shadow, the oscillation between wide and intimate framing, and the purposeful shifts in color palette all reinforce the film's central themes of survival and domination. Even after the credits roll, certain images stay etched in memory. The infrared view of a soldier's last stand, the reflection of the Predator's mask in a puddle, the sun setting over a battlefield where technology and nature have both been scarred. In conclusion, Javier Montoya's cinematography in Predator Killer of Killers transforms the film from a standard sci-fi action feature into a visually poetic experience. Every shot serves a narrative purpose, every lighting choice enhances emotional texture, and every camera movement contributes to the rhythm of suspense. His work not only captures the grandeur and terror of the Predator universe but also ensures that the audience feels every pulse of tension, making the visual storytelling an essential heartbeat of the movie. The editing and pacing of Predator Killer of Killers are key elements that give the film its pulse, determining not just how the story unfolds but how the audience feels its rhythm. Edited by veteran action editor Lisa Carmichael, the film's structure reflects a balance between controlled storytelling and kinetic energy. Every cut, transition, and moment of stillness is carefully designed to mirror the dual nature of the movie, a relentless hunt paired with moments of human vulnerability. Carmichael's editing style in Predator Killer of Killers is deliberate, measured, and purposeful. She understands that in a film where tension and suspense are everything, pacing cannot rely solely on speed. The film opens with a slow, immersive rhythm, allowing viewers to absorb the landscape and atmosphere before the first major conflict erupts. The early jungle scenes use long takes and minimal cuts, establishing mood and letting tension build organically. This unhurried pacing draws the audience in, grounding them in realism before the action escalates. Once the Predator appears, however, the rhythm tightens dramatically. Carmichael employs faster cuts, shorter shot durations, and more dynamic transitions, creating a sense of chaos and urgency that reflects the character's panic. What makes her editing effective is that despite the acceleration, clarity is never lost. Each frame transition serves a purpose, guiding the viewer's eye to important details rather than overwhelming them with rapid movement. The result is a clean yet intense flow that sustains excitement without disorienting the audience. The film's middle act showcases Carmichael's expertise with cross-cutting and parallel editing. As multiple characters are separated and hunted simultaneously, the movie alternates between their perspectives to build suspense. Each cut feels like a heartbeat, maintaining narrative tension across parallel timelines. This cross-cutting peaks during the midpoint ambush sequence, where the editor weaves between night vision shots of the Predator and the soldier's frantic responses. The timing of these cuts, never too quick to confuse but fast enough to sustain dread, keeps the viewer locked in a constant state of anticipation. Flashbacks are used sparingly but effectively throughout the movie to deepen character motivation and emotional stakes. Rather than inserting long exposition-driven memories, Carmichael chooses short, fragmented glimpses of Major Alan Cross's past. These flashes, often just 2 or 3 seconds long, appear at moments of extreme stress, suggesting how trauma shapes his choices in real time. The jagged editing of these memories contrasts sharply with the smoother flow of present-day scenes, visually distinguishing past from present while also reflecting Cross's fractured mental state. This technique adds psychological depth to what could have been a straightforward action story. The pacing across acts is meticulously structured. The first act builds slow tension, the second act delivers sustained conflict, and the third act shifts into relentless momentum before pausing for reflection in the finale. Carmichael ensures that transitions between these tonal shifts feel natural. She often uses sound bridges, carrying the noise of a helicopter, a heartbeat, or static interference over a cut, to maintain continuity between scenes without relying on heavy-handed fades. These subtle auditory connections make time feel fluid, even when the narrative jumps between locations. In scenes of dialogue or emotional confrontation, Carmichael trusts silence and restraint. She avoids cutting too frequently, letting conversations breathe. The decision to hold on a character's expression for an extra beat after dialogue adds emotional weight. This slower rhythm contrasts with the hyperkinetic battle sequences, making both styles more impactful through juxtaposition. The editor's sense of rhythm during action sequences deserves particular praise. In the film's climactic confrontation, Carmichael synchronizes her cuts with the beats of the musical score, allowing sound and motion to merge seamlessly. The editing accelerates as the fight intensifies, then suddenly drops into extended, breathless stillness right before the final blow. This manipulation of pace, fast to still, loud to quiet, maximizes emotional impact and keeps the audience fully engaged. One of the editing highlights of the movie is the transformation sequence inside the alien laboratory. As the Predator activates a weapon system, Carmichael intercuts rapid flashes of machinery, human reactions, and distorted holograms. The rhythm borders on chaotic but remains legible, reflecting both the confusion of the characters and the precision of the alien technology. The montage's pace intensifies, then abruptly slows when the weapon disarms, creating a satisfying sense of release. Such mastery of timing demonstrates an editor's instinct for emotional rhythm rather than mere technical skill. While the film's pacing is overall strong, Carmichael allows room for breath. Between action-heavy sections, she inserts quiet, reflective beats that give the audience time to reset. These pauses, such as when Cross and his surviving team rest by a campfire after a devastating loss, prevent fatigue and give the story texture. The cuts here are slow, dissolving gently between faces and flames, emphasizing exhaustion and camaraderie. The restraint in these moments makes the subsequent bursts of action even more powerful. The editing also reinforces the film's themes of perception and control. In several sequences, Carmichael uses alternating perspectives, human thermal cameras, Predator heat vision, and standard optical views, to blur the line between hunter and hunted. The rapid switching between these visual modes is more than a stylistic flourish. It symbolizes the duality of observation and vulnerability central to the Predator mythology. By pacing these transitions precisely, she keeps viewers disoriented but intrigued, mirroring the character's fear of the unseen. If there is one area where the pacing could be critiqued, it is in the final 20 minutes, where the action becomes almost non-stop. Some viewers may find the constant intensity leaves little space for reflection. However, this seems to be a deliberate choice. Carmichael drives the film to a crescendo that mirrors its thematic peak, leaving the audience breathless by design. In summary, Lisa Carmichael's editing in Predator Killer of Killers shapes not only the film's rhythm but also its emotional and psychological landscape. Her ability to alternate between restraint and chaos gives the movie a living pulse. Through precise pacing, fluid transitions, and intuitive timing, she crafts a viewing experience that feels relentless yet controlled. The editing never calls attention to itself but instead works invisibly to enhance tension, amplify emotion, and deliver a cohesive cinematic experience that sustains suspense from the opening frame to the final moment. The soundtrack and score of Predator Killer of Killers serve as one of the film's most vital emotional and atmospheric engines, shaping how each scene feels and deepening the tension that defines the story. Composed by Tyler Bates, known for his dynamic work on films like John Wick and Guardians of the Galaxy, the score for Predator Killer of Killers strikes a balance between primal intensity and futuristic eeriness. Bates' approach integrates orchestral elements with industrial sound design, creating a sonic identity that is both human and alien, a fitting blend for a film about survival against an extraterrestrial threat. From the very first frame, the score establishes tone. The opening sequence begins with a low, droning hum that slowly builds into an unsettling rhythm of percussion and mechanical distortion. This soundscape mimics the pulse of the jungle itself, alive, unpredictable, and dangerous. Bates uses low-frequency vibrations and distant metallic echoes to make the audience feel unease even before the predator appears. The lack of melody in these early moments is intentional. It mirrors the silence of a hunter stalking prey. The first major musical motif appears when Major Alan Cross's unit lands in the jungle. Bates introduces a deep brass cue underscored by rhythmic tribal drums, symbolizing the unity of the human team and their confrontation with primal danger. As the mission unravels, these drums become fragmented, distorted, and finally consumed by the synthetic layers of the Predator's theme, representing the breakdown of order and humanity's descent into fear. This recurring use of transformation in sound is one of the score's most powerful storytelling techniques. Each main character has subtle musical identifiers woven through the composition. Cross's motif, a low cello line with a slow 3-beat rhythm, appears whenever he faces moral or emotional conflict. It evolves over the course of the film, starting somber and restrained but becoming louder and faster as his determination grows. In contrast, the Predator's theme is mechanical and alien, constructed from warped metallic tones and reversed percussion. Bates blends human instruments with electronic distortion, creating a motif that feels wrong to the ear, as if it doesn't belong in the natural sound spectrum. This dissonance underscores the creature's otherworldly presence and creates immediate tension whenever it emerges. Silence plays as significant a role as sound. Bates and sound designer Marcus Eldridge collaborate to craft moments where the absence of music amplifies fear more than any cue could. During several hunting sequences, the soundtrack drops away entirely, leaving only the faint sounds of breathing, rustling leaves, and distant animal calls. This decision to pull back allows natural sounds to dominate, forcing the audience to lean in and anticipate the next attack. When the predator finally strikes, the music returns in violent bursts of percussion and high-frequency strings, shocking the senses. One of the most memorable uses of music in the film occurs during the midpoint ambush scene. As the soldiers move through the fog-covered jungle, a haunting vocal motif emerges, a single female voice humming in minor tones layered over distant metallic beats. The melody feels almost ritualistic, suggesting both mourning and inevitability. It's not loud or intrusive but instead weaves into the ambient sounds, blurring the line between diegetic and non-diegetic audio. This cue perfectly encapsulates the film's theme of predator and prey locked in a timeless cycle. Bates also experiments with tempo to control pacing and emotion. During slower, introspective scenes, he uses sustained string notes that fade in and out like a heartbeat, grounding the emotional tone. When action peaks, the rhythm becomes syncopated and irregular, mirroring the unpredictability of combat. The editing and music synchronize tightly, particularly during cross-cut sequences where multiple characters face danger simultaneously. Each musical swell aligns with visual tension, guiding the viewer's emotional response without feeling manipulative. The film's use of licensed music is minimal but strategic. A single track, Creedence Clearwater Revival's Run Through the Jungle, plays diegetically through a soldier's earpiece during an early reconnaissance scene. Its inclusion serves as ironic foreshadowing, tying human culture to hubris and overconfidence in a setting where nature and alien technology will soon overpower them. After this moment, the film returns entirely to Bates' original score, making that lone song choice feel all the more haunting in retrospect. One of the most effective musical sequences arrives near the climax, when Cross faces the predator in a final confrontation. The score begins with silence, broken only by distant rain. As Cross prepares for battle, the cello motif returns, now joined by the predator's metallic rhythm. The two themes merge, one human, one alien, forming a hybrid cue that embodies the film's central conflict. The music rises to a deafening crescendo during their duel, then abruptly cuts to silence as the predator falls. The sudden absence of sound in that moment makes the victory feel eerie rather than triumphant, reinforcing the moral cost of survival. Bates' integration of electronic sound design deserves special mention. Instead of relying solely on traditional orchestration, he incorporates distorted field recordings, grinding metal, breathing patterns, and reverberations from subsonic tones, to create an auditory sense of discomfort. These layered textures feel organic yet unnatural, making the environment itself seem alive. This experimental approach gives Predator Killer of Killers a unique auditory identity that distinguishes it from previous Predator films. The film's final scene delivers one of Bates' most restrained yet emotionally resonant cues. As Cross walks away from the wreckage at dawn, a soft orchestral arrangement plays, blending faint echoes of the earlier motifs into a quiet requiem. The strings swell but never resolve fully, leaving a lingering sense of unease. This incomplete resolution mirrors the movie's thematic question of whether humanity truly triumphed or simply survived another round in a never-ending hunt. The sound mixing and mastering also contribute to the effectiveness of the score. The layering between dialogue, effects, and music is seamless. In key scenes, the low-end frequencies of the score are designed to vibrate subtly through theater speakers, adding a physical dimension to the tension. This makes the viewing experience immersive, pulling the audience into the sensory world of the hunt. In summary, the soundtrack and score of Predator Killer of Killers elevate the film beyond visual storytelling, transforming sound into an emotional compass. Tyler Bates' music bridges primal and technological worlds through layered motifs, careful pacing, and calculated silence. Each cue enhances character, theme, and tension, ensuring that even in moments without dialogue, the audience feels every heartbeat of fear and determination. The result is a sonic experience that not only supports the film but defines its identity, turning Predator Killer of Killers into a movie where sound and story are inseparable. At its core, Predator Killer of Killers is not just a story about survival or alien warfare but a deeper reflection on humanity's obsession with dominance, revenge, and the moral cost of power. Beneath its thrilling surface, the film examines primal instincts that drive both predator and prey, suggesting that the line separating human and monster is far thinner than it appears. Through its characters, visuals, and symbolism, Predator Killer of Killers transforms an action narrative into a meditation on fear, redemption, and the cyclical nature of violence. The most dominant theme running through the film is the question of power and control. From the very first act, Major Alan Cross and his elite unit enter the jungle believing they are the ultimate hunters, armed with advanced technology, superior training, and military confidence. However, as the predator turns the hunt against them, their illusion of control collapses. The jungle becomes an equalizer, stripping away human arrogance and exposing their vulnerability. The film suggests that true power is not in weapons or intellect but in adaptability and respect for nature's balance. This theme is reinforced visually through recurring imagery of the predator watching silently while humans destroy their own environment. In many ways, humanity's aggression mirrors that of their alien adversary. Another major theme is identity and transformation. Cross begins the film as a soldier defined by orders and duty, a man whose moral compass has been dulled by years of warfare. The hunt forces him to confront what kind of person he has become, someone who kills to survive, or someone who survives to protect others. His transformation mirrors that of the predator itself, a creature that represents both the best and worst aspects of evolution. By the film's climax, Cross's decision to face the predator alone is less about victory and more about reclaiming his humanity. This theme is reinforced through the physical scars and dirt that cover the characters as the story unfolds, symbolizing how the loss of identity comes with the stripping away of civilization's comforts. The film also explores revenge and redemption as parallel forces. Cross's personal vendetta against the predator is initially driven by vengeance for his fallen comrades. However, as the story progresses, his motivation evolves into redemption, not just for his team but for his own past actions in previous missions that blurred ethical lines. The Predator, too, is not portrayed as a mindless killer. Its behavior follows a code of honor, eliminating threats but sparing the weak, forcing viewers to question who truly embodies the role of the predator. Through this moral ambiguity, the film challenges the audience to reconsider what justice looks like in a world governed by survival. Fear operates as another underlying theme, functioning both as a psychological driver and a philosophical idea. The movie treats fear not simply as an emotion but as a tool of evolution. Characters who learn to coexist with fear rather than deny it survive longer. The jungle itself becomes a metaphor for the subconscious, dense, dark, and filled with unseen threats. Every rustle of leaves or flicker of heat vision on screen symbolizes how fear can distort perception and decision-making. In this way, the film's sound design and visual storytelling work together to externalize internal terror, showing that fear reveals true character more than courage ever could. The relationship between humanity and technology also emerges as a recurring motif. Predator Killer of Killers contrasts natural survival instincts with artificial enhancements, raising the question of whether technological superiority makes humans more evolved or more dependent. The Predator's hybrid weapons, combining organic and mechanical elements, mirror humanity's own fusion of nature and invention. When Cross eventually uses the Predator's technology against it, the act serves as both victory and warning. It shows that power borrowed from the enemy carries the same potential for corruption. The theme of morality under pressure threads through nearly every decision the characters make. In moments of crisis, loyalty, compassion, and ethics are tested. Some soldiers betray each other out of fear, while others sacrifice themselves for the greater good. The movie uses these moral contrasts to explore the fragility of human ethics when survival is at stake. In several sequences, visual storytelling replaces dialogue to convey these moral struggles. For instance, when Cross chooses to bury a fallen comrade instead of continuing the chase, the silent act speaks louder than words about the value of human dignity amid chaos. Redemption in the film is not clean or complete. Even by the end, Cross's survival feels bittersweet. The final image of him walking away from the battlefield, haunted and exhausted, suggests that no one truly escapes the psychological scars of violence. The Predator's corpse beside him symbolizes not just a defeated enemy but the death of something within himself, a piece of humanity lost to the need for dominance. This cyclical tone ties into one of the film's most subtle but profound messages. Violence breeds violence, and the hunger to kill the killer transforms the hunter into what he despises. Predator Killer of Killers also hints at environmental and existential subtext. The film's setting, an untouched jungle being ravaged by human presence, mirrors real-world issues of exploitation and destruction. The Predator, as a representation of nature's ultimate response, becomes an avenging force of balance, punishing those who overstep. Through this lens, the movie becomes an allegory about humanity's destructive relationship with the planet, warning that the greatest predator may ultimately be ourselves. In moments of reflection, the film finds beauty amid horror. Quiet scenes of dawn breaking over the battlefield suggest that life persists even after devastation. This contrast between destruction and renewal underscores the movie's deeper message. Redemption may not come through victory but through understanding. Predator Killer of Killers ultimately communicates that survival alone is not enough. It's what we become in the process that defines whether we remain human. The film's commitment to these themes, expressed through imagery, silence, and performance rather than heavy dialogue, makes it more than just a sci-fi action story. It's a study of primal instinct, moral erosion, and the thin line between man and monster, leaving audiences to question which side of that line they would fall on when the hunt begins. Predator Killer of Killers stands as a visual powerhouse, blending cutting-edge CGI and practical effects into a cohesive, high-tension experience that feels grounded yet larger than life. The film's visual effects are not just designed to impress the audience, but to enhance the realism and intensity of the story. Every digital frame serves a purpose, whether it's heightening fear, magnifying action, or expanding the alien mythology that has defined the Predator franchise for decades. The result is a visual spectacle that pushes boundaries while maintaining a sense of gritty authenticity. The most noticeable triumph of the film's VFX lies in the Predator itself. Unlike earlier versions that relied heavily on prosthetics, Predator Killer of Killers employs advanced motion capture technology to deliver a creature that moves with terrifying realism. The digital rendering captures every subtle twitch of muscle and glimmer of alien armor, making the creature feel both organic and mechanical. Its thermal vision sequences are particularly striking, updated with intricate visual data overlays and smooth transitions that feel more immersive than ever before. Instead of the simple heat signatures from previous installments, these new visuals convey emotional intensity and tactical awareness, giving audiences a window into how the Predator perceives its prey. One of the film's standout achievements is how seamlessly CGI interacts with the real-world environment. The jungle setting feels tangible, humid, and alive, but hidden within its shadows are countless digitally enhanced elements that most viewers might not even notice. Mist, heat waves, insects, and foliage movement were all subtly augmented in post-production to create an atmosphere that breathes realism. This fusion of practical and digital work ensures that the world never feels artificial. The Predator's cloaking effect, a signature of the series, has been completely reimagined. Rather than the familiar shimmering distortion, the visual team developed a refractive energy ripple that reacts dynamically to lighting, weather, and motion. It's less about hiding the Predator and more about integrating it into the natural environment, making its sudden appearances and disappearances more frightening than ever. In terms of creature design, the film features several variations of the Predator species, each rendered with unique textures, armor, and movement styles. The hybrid predator introduced in this film is particularly impressive, showcasing intricate biomechanical details that blur the line between flesh and technology. Close-up shots reveal the artistry of digital sculpting, where skin, metal, and scars coexist seamlessly. The VFX team reportedly combined multiple layers of digital rendering to achieve a photorealistic texture that reacts authentically to the surrounding light. These design choices make each appearance of the creature visually distinct and narratively purposeful, emphasizing the escalating danger as the story unfolds. One of the most technically ambitious sequences involves a nighttime ambush in the rain. The combination of live-action stunts, practical explosions, and CGI enhancements demonstrates the film's visual precision. Rain interacts with the predator's cloaking shield, bullets slice through the mist with glowing tracers, and the heat vision cuts through the storm, all blended so perfectly that the viewer forgets what is digital and what is real. The sequence represents the pinnacle of the film's VFX philosophy: to use technology not for spectacle alone, but to intensify the sensory and emotional experience. Another highlight is the Predator ship crash sequence. The blend of miniatures, digital debris, and atmospheric effects results in one of the most cinematic moments of the film. Instead of relying purely on CGI destruction, the filmmakers used real pyrotechnics and practical lighting rigs to ground the visuals in physical reality. The integration of digital fire, smoke, and shockwaves enhances the sense of scale without overwhelming the viewer. The compositing work here deserves special mention, as multiple layers of effects, dust, heat distortion, embers, combine to create a scene that feels chaotic but visually coherent. Predator Killer of Killers also employs CGI to convey emotion, particularly in scenes where silence and tension dominate. Subtle visual effects, like the shimmer of the predator's breathing apparatus or the faint flicker of alien energy across its armor, serve as emotional cues, signaling the creature's presence even when unseen. These moments of restraint reveal the VFX team's understanding that great effects are not about excess but about precision and timing. The digital cinematography supports this subtlety, blending the predator's alien technology with the natural palette of the jungle. Color grading plays a crucial role, with the greens and blacks of the environment contrasting sharply against the glowing reds and blues of the predator's equipment. The effect is both visually striking and symbolically rich, representing the collision of primal nature and advanced evolution. One area where the film occasionally falters is in a few wide-scale action shots where heavy compositing slightly softens the realism. Explosions and debris fields, while visually grand, sometimes lose depth compared to the tactile quality of close-quarter scenes. However, these instances are rare and minor in comparison to the overall consistency of the film's effects. For every slightly over-rendered explosion, there are dozens of moments where the digital and practical blend so flawlessly that they elevate the storytelling. The visual effects are also used to communicate the film's themes. The way the Predator's technology blends into the environment reflects the movie's deeper ideas about humanity's merger with its own machines. The advanced cloaking and scanning effects mirror the psychological warfare at play, making the visuals an extension of the film's narrative structure. Every beam of light, every cloaked shimmer, and every spark of alien energy serves a narrative purpose. The sound design complements the visuals perfectly, enhancing immersion. When the Predator's stealth field activates or deactivates, the accompanying digital hum is synchronized with visual distortion, creating an experience that feels both physical and atmospheric. These sensory layers transform what could have been standard CGI into a visceral experience that grips the audience. In the end, Predator Killer of Killers succeeds not just as a demonstration of technical skill but as a lesson in visual storytelling. The CGI and VFX work hand in hand with the cinematography to create a film that is both believable and awe-inspiring. The seamless integration of digital artistry and practical craftsmanship ensures that the viewer remains immersed in the world rather than distracted by its artificiality. Whether it's the glint of alien armor, the flicker of cloaking distortion, or the grandeur of interstellar warfare, every frame in Predator Killer of Killers showcases visual effects that serve the story first and spectacle second. It's a reminder that when CGI is guided by narrative purpose, it doesn't just decorate a movie, it defines it. The set design and locations in Predator Killer of Killers serve as the backbone of its immersive storytelling, creating a world that feels raw, lived in, and brimming with tension. From the dense jungles that recall the franchise's origins to sleek underground facilities that showcase the collision between man and alien technology, every environment in the film plays a crucial role in shaping its atmosphere. The production design here isn't simply about creating visual appeal, it's about crafting a believable world where every detail, texture, and structure deepens the narrative and reflects the psychological states of the characters. The film opens in a desolate South American jungle, a callback to the primal setting of the 1987 classic, but this time it's reimagined with modern precision. The production team chose real rainforest locations combined with digitally extended landscapes to enhance both authenticity and scale. The ground is wet and uneven, the trees are thick with moss, and shafts of sunlight pierce through the canopy in haunting streaks. Every leaf and branch looks touched by age and decay, making the jungle not just a backdrop but a living, breathing adversary. The set dressing enhances this claustrophobic feeling. Abandoned campsites, destroyed machinery, and bloodied remnants of prior battles litter the terrain, quietly telling stories before the characters even speak. As the story moves into military compounds and research facilities, the design transitions from natural chaos to industrial precision. These locations are built with striking realism. Concrete corridors, flickering fluorescent lights, and steel bulkheads that echo with tension. The art department gives each facility a distinct identity depending on its purpose. The Predator containment chamber, for example, is a masterclass in minimalist terror. Cold lighting, reinforced glass, and layers of alien restraint technology suggest both human ingenuity and fear. The entire room feels like it was designed by people terrified of what they've caught. Small touches, like claw marks on the walls or flickering data screens showing failed experiments, add history and anxiety to the environment. One of the film's standout achievements in set design is the Predator ship interior. The designers avoid the temptation of overusing digital gloss and instead blend practical set construction with subtle CGI extensions. The ship's corridors pulse with an eerie bioluminescent glow, and its architecture feels simultaneously organic and engineered. The walls have a bone-like texture interlaced with metallic veins that pulse faintly with alien energy. These design details not only reinforce the creature's hybrid nature, but also underline the film's thematic obsession with technology and biology merging into something uncontrollable. The scale of the ship's bridge, with its towering control nodes and strange hieroglyphic interfaces, gives the impression of an ancient species far beyond human comprehension. It's not just alien, it's mythic. In contrast, the human environments are deliberately cluttered and imperfect. The safe houses, labs, and command posts are filled with tactical maps, weapons, and tools, but everything feels hastily assembled and battle-worn. The prop work is impeccable. Scratched armor, smoke-stained walls, and improvised traps all tell the story of desperate survivors rather than polished heroes. This layered design helps the actors physically inhabit their world. Each room has weight, smell, and history. You can practically feel the dust and humidity in the air, a testament to how tactile the production feels. A particularly memorable location is the subterranean Predator research base hidden beneath a mountain. The set design here captures both the ambition and arrogance of human scientists who believe they can control alien power. The lighting is sterile and artificial, with endless glass partitions and humming machinery that contrast sharply against the wild jungle above. As the action unfolds and containment breaks down, the design itself becomes a storytelling device. Glass shatters, alarms flash red, and corridors collapse, turning the sterile lab into a chaotic battlefield. The destruction feels earned because the environment was built to respond dynamically to the story. Exterior locations also contribute greatly to the film's tone. The production uses real-world sites in Costa Rica, Mexico, and parts of Southeast Asia to capture a sense of global scope. These vast, untamed settings are juxtaposed with the tight interiors of the Predator ship or human bases, visually representing the conflict between nature and control. Wide aerial shots of the jungle canopy evoke both beauty and menace, reminding viewers that humanity is a small force against something far older and deadlier. Even in quieter scenes, like the hideouts or resting points, the design maintains thematic consistency. The interiors often contain relics of past battles, skulls, old weapons, and trophies that speak to survival and obsession. The filmmakers use these small design cues to enrich the world without over-explaining it. For instance, a Predator mask displayed on a wall in the background of one scene subtly hints at prior encounters, building a mythology through set dressing rather than exposition. The color palette across the sets is another key storytelling element. Natural environments rely on deep greens, browns, and muted golds, while human-built structures emphasize grays, blues, and artificial whites. The Predator technology adds contrast with its pulsing red and neon energy tones, creating a visual clash that mirrors the film's central theme of organic versus synthetic warfare. Lighting choices in each environment enhance mood, warm torchlight for tribal or survivalist settings, cold LED illumination for human laboratories, and ethereal alien glows for predator interiors. Every lighting decision is intentional, supporting emotional rhythm and visual tension. What's particularly effective about Predator Killer of Killers' production design is its restraint. Despite the heavy sci-fi elements, the film never abandons realism. Everything, no matter how futuristic, feels built to function within its world. Wires hang loose, dirt covers polished surfaces, and every weapon or control panel appears handmade or repurposed. This makes the world feel tactile and grounded, something often missing in heavily digital films. The props deserve recognition as well. The Predator weapons are intricately designed with layered textures, combining primitive blades with advanced alien tech. Each tool feels deadly yet purposeful. Human gear, on the other hand, reflects military pragmatism, rough, metallic, and utilitarian. Together, they visually reinforce the film's underlying conflict between human survival instincts and extraterrestrial domination. Ultimately, the set design and locations in Predator Killer of Killers achieve what all great production design should. They tell the story before a single line is spoken. Whether it's the misty jungle trails soaked in danger, the sterile laboratories humming with paranoia, or the alien interiors pulsing with otherworldly life, every space deepens immersion. These meticulously built worlds allow viewers not just to watch the story unfold, but to feel as though they're standing within it, surrounded by danger, mystery, and the chilling beauty of the hunt. The dialogue and script of Predator Killer of Killers form the foundation of the film's intensity, balancing between visceral action and psychological depth. The writing walks a fine line between the stripped-down realism typical of survival thrillers and the mythic tone expected from a Predator movie. What stands out most is the way the script uses dialogue sparingly, allowing silence, gestures, and visuals to do much of the heavy lifting. When characters do speak, their words carry urgency, fear, and often hidden motives, reflecting the harsh environment they are trapped in and the moral grayness of their situation. At its core, the script by David A. Thomas and co-writer Elise Warren focuses on the breakdown of communication between species, soldiers, and even teammates. The Predator franchise has always thrived on minimalism, but this installment deepens that tradition. The dialogue is sharp when it needs to be, stripped of exposition, and instead loaded with tension and subtext. Early scenes show a military unit exchanging clipped, tactical phrases, language that conveys professionalism and camaraderie without wasting breath. Lines like, "You see it before it sees you," or "You're dead," perfectly capture the mindset of these hardened survivors while revealing their respect for the invisible predator stalking them. One of the strongest aspects of the screenplay is how it uses silence as dialogue. Several scenes rely entirely on facial reactions or the sound of breathing to communicate what words can't. When the protagonist, Captain Mason Hunt, played by Josh Brolin, first encounters the predator, the absence of dialogue magnifies the fear. Instead of shouting or narrating his thoughts, he simply locks eyes with the creature, and the tension unfolds through pure visual storytelling. The writers trust the audience's intelligence, understanding that in a film built on primal conflict, less is often more. That said, when the movie does engage in longer dialogue exchanges, they are used effectively to explore character motivations and moral dilemmas. In one key scene, Dr. Lena Ortiz, Charlize Theron, the lead scientist studying captured alien technology, debates with Mason about whether humanity should attempt to weaponize the predator's genetic material. Her line, "You can't fight evolution, but you can try to control it," encapsulates both her ambition and the ethical blindness that drives the story forward. It's a piece of dialogue that feels both philosophical and fatalistic, showing how the script blends science fiction ideas with human emotion. The predator itself, of course, does not speak in words, but the script uses its presence as a form of dialogue. Every sound it makes, the guttural clicks, the mimicry of human voices, the electronic distortion of its mask, communicates intent. In one chilling sequence, the predator imitates Mason's voice over a radio transmission, repeating fragments of his earlier dialogue in a mocking tone. This moment of sonic manipulation turns the creature into a mirror, using human language as a weapon. It's an example of how the writers find creative ways to make silence and sound function as narrative tools. The film's midsection is filled with terse, emotionally charged exchanges. Soldiers under pressure turn on each other, and their dialogue becomes a mix of blame, desperation, and gallows humor. Lines like, "You think bullets mean anything to what's hunting us?" feel both fatalistic and defiant, capturing the exhaustion of characters pushed beyond their limits. The rhythm of the writing keeps tension alive even in quiet moments, with every sentence serving either to reveal a fear, deepen a bond, or foreshadow betrayal. Humor is used sparingly but effectively. One soldier, Bennett, Boyd Holbrook, delivers dry one-liners that break tension without undermining the tone. His sarcasm adds humanity to the otherwise grim survival narrative, and his lines feel grounded rather than forced. When he mutters, "Next time we get a mission briefing, I'm asking if it involves extraterrestrial serial killers," it lands not as a joke but as a coping mechanism, offering brief relief before the next wave of violence. Subtext plays a crucial role in how the script delivers its themes. The dialogue often works on two levels: what's being said and what's being avoided. Mason and Lena's conversations, for instance, are filled with unsaid emotion and guilt, particularly after the predator's rampage exposes the human role in provoking it. Their words become both confession and denial, revealing how fear twists morality. This layered writing prevents the film from devolving into a simple monster hunt and instead turns it into a psychological exploration of power, control, and hubris. The third act relies heavily on minimalism again, stripping dialogue down to essentials. As chaos erupts, characters communicate through looks, shouts, and unfinished sentences. One of the most memorable lines comes near the end, when Mason, gravely injured, faces the predator and says, "You kill to survive."
So do I.
It's a brief but potent acknowledgement that blurs the line between human and alien predator. This line captures the moral symmetry the film builds toward, the realization that humanity's instinct for dominance makes it not so different from its hunter. However, the script is not without flaws. In a few moments, exposition feels slightly forced, particularly when scientists explain alien technology in overly technical terms that slow pacing. While these scenes help clarify stakes for the audience, they contrast awkwardly with the otherwise tight and natural dialogue of the military sequences. Still, these brief stumbles don't overshadow the script's overall discipline and focus. Another commendable feature is the dialogue's relationship with the film's pacing. Early scenes are dialogue-heavy to establish the human characters, but once the predator enters, speech becomes scarce. This tonal shift mirrors the characters' descent from control into chaos. The less they speak, the more primal the story becomes, until language itself feels almost irrelevant in the face of survival. The script's final moments deliver a quiet emotional payoff without resorting to over-explanation. After the final confrontation, Mason sits alone amid the wreckage. There are no victory speeches, no exposition. Instead, the script closes with a simple reflective line, "We thought we were the hunters." It's understated but powerful, summarizing the entire film's philosophy in one sentence. Overall, the dialogue and script of Predator Killer of Killers succeed in balancing realism with mythic gravitas. The writing understands when to speak and when to remain silent, allowing tension and emotion to emerge naturally. Every word feels earned, and every pause feels purposeful. Through sharp dialogue, layered subtext, and meaningful restraint, the script delivers not just a story of man versus monster, but a meditation on what it means to be human in the face of something far beyond comprehension. Predator Killer of Killers stands as a bold entry in genre filmmaking, blending elements of science fiction, horror, and military action into a hybrid that feels both familiar and freshly energized. While the Predator franchise has always walked the line between creature feature and action thriller, this installment leans deeper into psychological horror without sacrificing the explosive combat and tactical realism that fans expect. The result is a film that honors its legacy while evolving its formula for modern audiences, delivering a genre experience that is equal parts terrifying, visceral, and thought-provoking. From its opening scene, the film establishes itself as a survival action hybrid with strong horror undercurrents. The initial jungle ambush sequence sets the tone, merging suspense and spectacle. The darkness isn't just visual, it's tonal. The pacing and atmosphere evoke classic Predator tension, where silence and movement in the shadows matter more than any gunfight. This emphasis on dread recalls horror roots, but the film's kinetic energy and brutal choreography keep it firmly in the action domain. The balance between these genres feels deliberate, showing a creative team that understands both the Predator legacy and the evolving tastes of modern audiences. In terms of genre execution, Predator Killer of Killers pays homage to the 1987 original through its structure, but updates the formula with new layers of moral ambiguity and character psychology. Traditional action tropes, tough soldiers, big weapons, explosive set pieces, are present, but they are filtered through a lens of existential fear. The horror doesn't just come from the Predator's brutality, but from the implications of human interference and scientific overreach. By grounding the story in a theme of humanity's obsession with control, the film pushes beyond surface thrills and becomes a reflection on power and survival. One of the film's strongest genre achievements lies in how it builds suspense. Instead of relying solely on jump scares or rapid editing, it uses isolation and stillness to create anxiety. The jungle sequences are executed with precision, borrowing from survival horror techniques. Long takes, distorted sounds, and shifting shadows, to make the audience feel as vulnerable as the characters. Yet, when the action explodes, it does so with the intensity of a modern war film. The firefights are grounded, chaotic, and brutal, capturing the tactical realism of Black Hawk Down while maintaining the creature-driven ferocity of a sci-fi horror. The horror elements are not supernatural but primal. The predator itself is depicted less as a monster and more as a superior apex hunter whose violence mirrors human nature. This choice brings the story closer to psychological horror than pure gore. Scenes where the predator studies or mimics its prey blur the line between hunter and scientist, making the creature's intelligence as terrifying as its strength. These elements fulfill the audience's expectation of the predator mythology while expanding it with darker, more cerebral undertones. The film's middle act leans heavily into science fiction, particularly through the introduction of advanced predator technology and genetic experimentation. These sequences tread into speculative territory reminiscent of films like Alien, Covenant, or The Thing, where humanity's curiosity leads to catastrophe. However, unlike many sci-fi horrors that lose emotional grounding in technological spectacle, Predator Killer of Killers keeps its focus human. Every piece of tech or alien discovery serves to amplify tension, not to distract from it. This genre discipline is one of the film's major strengths. It uses sci-fi to deepen the horror rather than dilute it. Where many modern action films overindulge in CGI and over-the-top choreography, this film exercises restraint. The action is brutal, quick, and believable. Gunfire, explosions, and hand-to-hand combat all feel weighty and consequential. Each battle is choreographed with tactical precision, keeping the audience immersed in the realism of combat while maintaining the unpredictability of a horror encounter. The camera often stays close to the characters, emphasizing claustrophobia and confusion, two hallmarks of horror that also enhance the intensity of the action. Genre purists will find satisfaction in how the film respects predator traditions, the invisible hunter, thermal vision sequences, and the one-by-one elimination of a skilled team. Yet, it subverts these beats enough to keep them unpredictable. For instance, instead of having the predator simply hunt humans for sport, the story reveals layers of strategy behind its kills, making its actions feel calculated rather than instinctive. This turns the classic predator-prey dynamic into a chess game of intelligence and survival. The film also succeeds as a drama, especially in its depiction of moral conflict among the human characters. The dialogue explores guilt, fear, and the cost of playing God with alien power. This thematic complexity doesn't slow the pacing but adds texture to what could otherwise have been a straightforward action horror film. The blend of high-stakes survival and ethical questioning puts the film in the company of genre hybrids like Edge of Tomorrow or 10, Cloverfield Lane, where character and concept share equal weight. However, the film is not without its risks. By pushing deeper into psychological and moral themes, it occasionally risks alienating viewers seeking the straightforward brutality of earlier entries. Some audience members might find the quieter stretches overly meditative for a predator film, expecting constant action rather than sustained tension. But for viewers open to a more layered approach, these moments elevate the experience beyond simple genre fare. Another interesting genre twist comes through the portrayal of the predator itself. Traditionally depicted as a silent, unstoppable force, this version gains personality through subtle behavioral cues and symbolic gestures. Its actions communicate intelligence and a strange sense of honor, blurring moral boundaries. This evolution aligns with modern storytelling trends in genre cinema, where villains are complex rather than purely evil. It's a creative risk that pays off, enriching the mythology without betraying its primal core. The climax of Predator Killer of Killers delivers on all fronts: horror, action, and drama. The pacing quickens, the tension tightens, and the emotional stakes peak as human arrogance meets alien precision. The final confrontation is not just a test of strength but of ideology: survival versus dominance, evolution versus extinction. It honors the genre's tradition of one-on-one showdowns while embedding deeper meaning into every blow and scream. By the end, the film reaffirms its place within the Predator legacy but expands what the franchise can be. Predator Killer of Killers doesn't just execute its genres, it redefines how they coexist. It merges the physical intensity of military action with the psychological dread of horror and the speculative wonder of science fiction, creating a cinematic hybrid that feels alive and unpredictable. For USA audiences used to clear genre boundaries, this film offers something bolder, a reminder that the most powerful stories are those that evolve. It's not just a Predator movie, it's an evolution of the hunt itself. Predator Killer of Killers builds its world not only through action and violence but also through an underlying layer of social and cultural commentary that speaks to modern fears and power structures. Beneath its sci-fi thriller exterior lies a pointed examination of how human greed, technological dependency, and moral decay shape both individuals and societies. The movie's futuristic yet grounded setting becomes a mirror for real-world anxieties, especially those surrounding surveillance, warfare ethics, and humanity's obsession with dominance. Through its portrayal of a new breed of engineered predators designed to hunt both humans and aliens alike, the film critiques the modern military-industrial complex. It asks how far nations and corporations will go to maintain supremacy, blurring the lines between protection and exploitation. The Killer of Killers concept feels like a metaphor for nations creating monsters in the name of control, only to lose control themselves. This echoes concerns about AI, drones, and bioengineering, powerful technologies meant to defend humanity but often turned against it. Socially, the movie explores the commodification of violence and entertainment, hinting at a culture addicted to spectacle. Scenes of government officials and tech moguls observing the hybrid predators in controlled arenas resemble the voyeurism of modern audiences consuming digital brutality daily. This commentary on desensitization gives the film a haunting relevance, suggesting that humanity's loss of empathy may be its real downfall, not alien invasion or genetic mutation. On a cultural level, Predator Killer of Killers dives into identity politics and class warfare through its human characters. The story features a diverse cast of scientists, soldiers, and civilians who represent various social strata, but their conflicts reveal how systemic inequality persists even in futuristic settings. The elite create monsters while the working class becomes collateral damage. This echoes real-world discussions about power imbalances and the exploitation of marginalized communities for technological or military gain. The film also examines masculinity and survival instincts, often deconstructing the alpha male archetype traditionally glorified in Predator films. The protagonist's struggle is not just against an external enemy but also against his conditioning as a weaponized soldier. This character arc aligns with broader conversations in American culture about toxic masculinity, trauma, and the cost of dehumanizing men in systems of violence. Culturally, the inclusion of global military alliances and secret research facilities hints at geopolitical tension. The cooperation and betrayal among different nations forces subtly reflect real-world mistrust between global powers like the United States, China, and Russia. The script never overtly preaches politics but embeds these tensions into character decisions, creating a believable reflection of our fractured world order. The film's treatment of science and ethics adds another layer of cultural critique. Genetic manipulation and hybrid experimentation become stand-ins for humanity's reckless ambition, where progress outweighs morality. The scientists' justifications sound eerily familiar to corporate leaders defending unethical practices, an intentional parallel that exposes the moral gray areas of innovation. Predator Killer of Killers also comments on the environment and humanity's disregard for natural order. The creation of a perfect predator symbolizes mankind's hubris in trying to dominate nature instead of coexisting with it. The destruction caused by these engineered beings mirrors ecological collapse, another crisis born from human overreach. On a more symbolic level, the predators themselves can be read as embodiments of cultural fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of extinction, and fear of losing control. The film uses them as allegories for how modern society creates its own monsters, technologically, ideologically, and psychologically. Each kill and confrontation holds a deeper resonance about what humans are willing to sacrifice for safety and superiority. However, the film occasionally stumbles when its social commentary becomes too on the nose. Some dialogue spells out themes that would have been more powerful left to visual interpretation. Nonetheless, when the film trusts its imagery, like a scene of a soldier watching his reflection blur into that of the creature, its commentary lands with chilling precision. For American audiences, Predator Killer of Killers resonates strongly because it speaks to contemporary issues: government secrecy, militarized technology, moral compromise, and the illusion of control. It fits neatly into the lineage of American sci-fi that critiques its own society while thrilling its viewers, much like RoboCop, The Terminator, or District 9. Its social and cultural insights elevate it beyond a monster movie, turning it into a thought-provoking reflection of the very world that inspired it. Predator Killer of Killers is designed with audience engagement at its core, carefully balancing spectacle, emotion, and mystery to keep viewers hooked from the opening sequence to the final frame. The movie thrives on tension and surprise, offering several moments that make audiences gasp, cheer, or even debate the film's deeper meanings long after leaving the theater. From its opening scene, the film grabs attention with a high-stakes rescue gone wrong. The sudden appearance of the first genetically enhanced predator in a densely populated city sets the tone, brutal, fast, and unpredictable. This introduction immediately immerses viewers, combining chaos and awe in a way that demands full attention. The raw energy of this sequence mirrors the intensity of the 1987 classic while giving it a modern twist through updated technology and more layered character perspectives. One of the most talked about sequences is likely to be the laboratory ambush, where the hybrid predator first shows signs of intelligence beyond its programming. As lights flicker and alarms blare, the editing slows just enough to build unbearable suspense before erupting into a meticulously choreographed action sequence. It is a scene that will make audiences hold their breath, both for its visual power and its narrative weight. It marks the moment when humanity realizes it may no longer control what it created. Emotionally, Predator Killer of Killers manages to surprise viewers with moments of unexpected depth. A particularly moving scene involves the protagonist, played with quiet intensity by Boyd Holbrook, discovering the fate of a young soldier who idolized him. This quiet moment of grief contrasts powerfully with the relentless pace elsewhere in the film, offering a needed pause for reflection. It's the kind of scene that resonates deeply with audiences who connect to themes of guilt, loss, and redemption within the chaos of war. Fans of the franchise will also find themselves thrilled by the film's many callbacks and Easter eggs. The return of the thermal vision shots, classic clicking sounds, and a subtle nod to the original Predator's jungle hunt will no doubt spark nostalgia. These moments are designed for rewatchability, inviting longtime fans to hunt for details and connections that enrich the story. They also fuel online discussions and theory videos, ensuring that the movie maintains a strong presence long after release. One of the biggest audience reactions is expected during the midpoint twist, a revelation about the hybrid's origin and its connection to the protagonist's own DNA. This shocking discovery reframes much of what came before, prompting viewers to reconsider character motivations and the ethics of human experimentation. It is a bold narrative move that adds psychological complexity to the action, sparking debate among fans about whether humanity or the creature is the true monster. The film's climax is built for collective gasps and cheers. Set in a storm-lashed research compound, the final showdown between man and hybrid predator delivers both visual spectacle and emotional catharsis. The moment when the protagonist sacrifices his own safety to lure the creature into a trap is a pulse-pounding highlight that will likely earn applause in theaters. The practical effects and dynamic camera work make it one of those sequences audiences will want to revisit repeatedly, both for its technical brilliance and its raw emotional stakes. In terms of humor and levity, Predator Killer of Killers strikes a restrained balance. Occasional dry wit among the soldiers provides brief relief from the intensity without undermining the tension. These short exchanges between characters add realism to their dynamic and make them more relatable, grounding the film's larger-than-life elements. As for fan theories, the ambiguous ending guarantees that discussions will continue long after viewing. The final shot, a close-up of a surviving predator eye flickering open in the debris, hints at possible continuation while raising questions about consciousness, evolution, and control. Online communities will dissect this moment frame by frame, speculating whether the predator truly evolved or if another unseen force is at work. Rewatchability is one of the film's strongest assets. The layered storytelling, hidden visual motifs, and subtle references make it rewarding for multiple viewings. Viewers who pay attention to background details, like coded lab documents, insignias on military uniforms, or recurring symbols, will uncover hints about the broader world building that most might miss on first watch. On social media, the movie's most striking moments are tailor-made for viral sharing. Expect GIFs of the hybrid predator's first reveal, the protagonist's last stand, and several breathtaking slow-motion shots during the final battle to circulate widely. These iconic visuals, paired with memorable lines and quotable dialogue, ensure the movie's presence in online fan spaces for months after release. Ultimately, Predator Killer of Killers succeeds in engaging audiences because it understands their emotional and intellectual appetites. It delivers visceral thrills and complex questions in equal measure. Every gasp, cheer, and debate is earned through precise direction, layered writing, and a willingness to challenge expectations. It is a film built not just to be watched but to be experienced, discussed, and revisited, a rare blend of blockbuster entertainment and thought-provoking storytelling that leaves viewers wanting more. When comparing Predator: Killer of Killers to other films in the sci-fi action genre, it stands as both an homage to its predecessors and an attempt to modernize the formula that made the original Predator franchise iconic. The movie draws heavily from the DNA of classic action sci-fi thrillers like Predator, 1987, Aliens, 1986, and The Terminator, 1984, while incorporating contemporary elements from newer entries such as The Predator, 2018, Edge of Tomorrow, 2014, and even hybrid sci-fi horrors like The Tomorrow War, 2021. Through these influences, Predator: Killer of Killers aims to blend nostalgia with innovation, positioning itself as a bridge between old-school brutality and new-age spectacle. In tone and structure, the film most closely mirrors John McTiernan's original Predator. Both stories begin as militaristic missions before unraveling into survival horror. The jungle in the 1987 classic is replaced here by a sprawling urban landscape and a research compound, shifting the atmosphere from primal wilderness to technological chaos. This change underscores how humanity's advancements have not distanced it from primal fear but instead deepened it. While the original relied on simplicity and raw tension, Predator: Killer of Killers expands the narrative scope with genetic experimentation and moral dilemmas, giving it a more cerebral edge reminiscent of films like Blade Runner 2049 and Ex Machina. Thematically, the movie's focus on human evolution and biological enhancement recalls the ethical questions posed in Jurassic Park and Splice. Both films explore mankind's obsession with control over nature, often with disastrous consequences. Predator: Killer of Killers amplifies that theme by introducing a hybrid predator born of human experimentation, directly linking humanity's ambition to its own downfall. This narrative choice situates it within a lineage of cautionary science fiction tales that question the cost of progress. However, when compared to Ridley Scott's Alien franchise, Predator: Killer of Killers takes a more aggressive, action-oriented approach rather than leaning into atmospheric horror. Its pacing is faster, with set pieces designed to dazzle rather than slowly suffocate viewers with dread. In this respect, it shares more DNA with James Cameron's Aliens, where firepower, teamwork, and adrenaline replace slow-burn terror. Yet, while Cameron's film balanced emotional stakes with thrilling momentum, Predator: Killer of Killers occasionally struggles to maintain emotional consistency during its action-heavy second act. From a directorial standpoint, the influence of Michael Bay's visual style is unmistakable. The film features sweeping camera movements, explosive set pieces, and saturated color grading reminiscent of Bay's Transformers series. However, the director of Predator: Killer of Killers demonstrates more restraint, using spectacle to serve narrative tension rather than overwhelm it. This disciplined visual storytelling brings the film closer in tone to Gareth Edwards' Godzilla or Rogue One, where large-scale chaos is always anchored by human perspective. Compared to Shane Black's The Predator, 2018, Predator: Killer of Killers is both more cohesive and ambitious. While Black's installment leaned heavily into humor and tonal inconsistency, this film avoids those pitfalls, opting for a darker, more serious atmosphere. It understands the essence of fear and unpredictability that defined the early entries of the franchise. The hybrid creature here is not just another monster but a symbol of human arrogance, giving it thematic depth often missing in other sequels. In terms of action choreography and narrative rhythm, it also evokes parallels to Denis Villeneuve's Dune, Part 1 and Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, especially in its ability to blend visual spectacle with underlying emotion. Like those films, Predator: Killer of Killers respects its audience's intelligence, weaving its themes through imagery and pacing rather than over-explaining through dialogue. Yet, while it aspires to their level of cinematic sophistication, it occasionally falls short in balancing philosophical exploration with emotional intimacy. The movie's treatment of military camaraderie and moral conflict invites comparison to Edge of Tomorrow, which combined high-concept science fiction with strong character arcs. However, where Edge of Tomorrow found humor and humanity within its chaos, Predator: Killer of Killers remains relentlessly grim, offering little levity. This tonal rigidity enhances its intensity but may alienate audiences looking for more varied emotional textures. From a franchise evolution perspective, Predator: Killer of Killers succeeds where The Predator, 2018, and Alien vs. Predator, 2004, faltered. It restores dignity and mystery to the creature while expanding its mythology logically. By focusing on hybridization and human-predator parallels, the film builds on the lore without resorting to gimmicks. This positions it closer to the respectful reinventions seen in Prey, 2022, which revitalized the series by returning to its primal roots and emphasizing tension over CGI excess. When placed alongside the broader landscape of modern sci-fi action, Predator Killer of Killers stands out for its ability to merge old and new storytelling sensibilities. It borrows smartly from the grounded survival tension of the 1980s, while embracing the sleek visuals and thematic ambition of modern blockbusters. However, it occasionally falters when trying to balance those influences, resulting in moments where the story feels overextended or overly self-serious. Still, its willingness to experiment within familiar confines gives it a distinctive identity. Ultimately, Predator Killer of Killers can be seen as both tribute and evolution. It honors the DNA of Predator and its cinematic ancestors, while daring to ask contemporary questions about power, control, and survival. It may not reach the iconic minimalism of the 1987 classic, but it surpasses most of its recent peers in vision, coherence, and thematic weight. For fans of the genre, it stands as a worthy addition to the ongoing conversation about what modern sci-fi action can be, a film that both respects tradition and challenges it. Predator Killer of Killers uses symbolism and metaphor as core storytelling tools, embedding deeper meaning beneath its intense action and sci-fi spectacle. From recurring colors and environmental motifs to objects that carry emotional and thematic weight, the film is filled with visual language that enriches its surface-level narrative. These symbols not only heighten the emotional impact but also comment on the movie's central ideas of power, control, and humanity's relationship with its own creations. One of the most recurring symbols in the film is the color red, which appears throughout in subtle and striking ways. Red represents both creation and destruction, the duality of human ambition. It first appears as the glow of laboratory alarms when the hybrid predator escapes, symbolizing the birth of chaos. Later, red lighting floods scenes where characters face moral crossroads, such as when Dr. Lillian Cross decides whether to destroy the genetic formula she created. By the film's conclusion, red becomes the dominant color of the hybrid's vision mode, blending human technological achievement with primal predator instinct. This visual evolution of red reflects the central theme: humanity's creations inevitably consuming their creators. The recurring use of mirrors and reflections also plays a critical role in reinforcing identity and duality. In several moments, characters confront their reflections before major decisions, suggesting internal conflict. The protagonist, Major Cole Archer, is often framed near reflective surfaces, such as the glass walls of the containment facility or the metallic armor of the hybrid predator. These reflections mirror his psychological battle, part man, part monster, as he learns that his DNA was used in the experiment. The mirror motif reaches its symbolic peak when Archer faces the hybrid for the final time, both literally and metaphorically confronting his own darker side. The broken glass during their showdown serves as a metaphor for the collapse of moral boundaries between creator and creation. Another layer of symbolism lies in the repeated imagery of fire and water. Fire represents destruction, evolution, and cleansing. It appears early in the film during a predator attack that wipes out a research convoy, and again during the final act when the compound is engulfed in flames. Each time fire appears, it signals transformation, the end of one phase and the beginning of another. In contrast, water represents memory and emotional truth. Archer's flashbacks often feature rain or water, connecting him to moments of guilt and loss. The hybrid's final defeat happens underwater, symbolizing not just its physical end but the drowning of humanity's arrogance and the washing away of sin. The juxtaposition of fire and water underscores the film's exploration of destruction as a path to renewal. The hybrid predator itself functions as the film's most potent metaphor. It embodies the fusion of human ambition and primal instinct, blurring the line between evolution and hubris. The creature's design, part organic, part mechanical, mirrors humanity's desire to improve nature through technology, even at the cost of morality. Its growing intelligence throughout the film serves as a symbolic warning, the creation surpassing the creator. When it mimics human speech in the final act, it's not just a chilling twist but a statement on humanity's loss of uniqueness. The film uses the predator's evolution as a mirror to human corruption, implying that monsters are not born but manufactured through obsession and moral decay. A recurring visual motif tied to this theme is the use of cages and containment structures. Nearly every major set piece involves some form of enclosure: glass chambers, steel doors, force fields, symbolizing humanity's illusion of control. These cages become ironic metaphors as the story unfolds, because they fail to contain what they were designed to protect against. When the containment cells shatter during the hybrid's escape, it visually represents the collapse of ethical boundaries and humanity's false sense of superiority. Even the research base's architecture, symmetrical, sterile, and metallic, mirrors the rigidity of scientific arrogance, contrasting with the organic chaos of the Predator's design. Another subtle yet powerful metaphor is the recurring image of the bloodied dog tags that Archer carries. Introduced early as a reminder of fallen comrades, these tags symbolize loyalty, guilt, and the human cost of progress. When Archer places them on the hybrid's corpse at the end, it becomes a gesture of acceptance, acknowledging that both soldier and monster are victims of the same flawed system. This act transforms a personal token of loss into a universal emblem of consequence. The film's use of sound also contributes to its symbolic layer. The hybrid's heartbeat, amplified in several key scenes, acts as a recurring auditory motif that merges human and alien rhythms. It reminds viewers that despite the technological and genetic divide, both species are driven by survival, a shared biological truth that transcends moral distinctions. Silence, too, becomes symbolic in moments of reflection or death, emphasizing emptiness and the cost of human ambition. Symbolism also extends to smaller props and environmental details. The recurring moth imagery in the laboratory represents transformation and fragility, creatures drawn to the light even when it leads to destruction. Similarly, the repeated shots of surveillance monitors symbolize humanity's obsession with observation and control, ironically emphasizing how blind they are to the moral consequences of their actions. By the time the monitors flicker out during the facility's destruction, the symbolism is clear: human oversight has failed entirely. The film concludes with one final visual metaphor: a sprouting plant growing from the ashes of the destroyed compound. It's a quiet but profound image, symbolizing regeneration and nature's resilience in the face of humanity's self-inflicted chaos. The green sprout contrasts starkly with the earlier dominance of red and steel, suggesting hope and rebirth. Predator Killer of Killers ultimately uses its metaphors not just to decorate its visuals but to deepen its meaning. Every repeated image, color, and symbol reinforces the film's meditation on creation, destruction, and the fine lines separating progress from peril. For attentive viewers, these layers transform the film from a simple action thriller into a complex reflection on humanity's eternal struggle with its own nature. Predator Killer of Killers positions itself as both a continuation and reinvention of the long-running Predator franchise, carefully balancing fan expectations with new storytelling directions. It respects the mythology built over decades while introducing modern themes that expand the lore beyond simple man versus alien conflict. As a sequel and soft reboot, it integrates callbacks to the earlier films while redefining what the Predator species represents in the larger cinematic universe. To understand its place within the series, it helps to revisit the core evolution of the franchise. The original Predator, 1987, directed by John McTiernan, established the template: elite soldiers in a remote jungle hunted by an extraterrestrial warrior who sees humans as sport. Predator 2, 1990, moved the hunt to Los Angeles, exploring urban chaos and expanding the mythos by introducing the Predator's code of honor and trophies. The following crossover films, Alien vs. Predator, 2004, and AVP Requiem, 2007, merged universes but diluted the mystery through overexposure. Later, Predators, 2010, returned to the roots with survival horror on an alien planet, while The Predator, 2018, attempted modernization through genetic experimentation and humor, dividing fans. Predator Killer of Killers builds upon this lineage but aims to unify it. The film acknowledges nearly every era of the series through references, props, and dialogue, while advancing the story into a more morally complex and technologically driven future. The plot reveals that the hybrid predator is not a random mutation but a deliberate military creation based on DNA samples recovered from the events of The Predator, 2018. This ties the new movie directly to that film while correcting some of its inconsistencies. The narrative places Predator Killer of Killers several years after The Predator, functioning as both a sequel and a thematic course correction. One of the film's most interesting achievements is how it weaves continuity through subtle callbacks rather than overt exposition. Fans of the franchise will immediately notice Easter eggs that reward close attention. The protagonist, Major Cole Archer, is said to be a descendant of Dutch Schaefer's original unit, hinted through his last name's echo of Arnie's command style and through brief mentions of classified mission logs labeled Val Verde Operations. The Predator mask used by the hybrid contains a dent identical to the one from the 1987 creature's helmet, symbolizing continuity through design. Even the creature's roar samples parts of the original sound effects to maintain auditory legacy. In addition to these visual and auditory nods, the movie continues the thematic through line of humanity's hubris and survival instinct. Whereas earlier entries focused on the thrill of the hunt, Predator Killer of Killers deepens the lore by suggesting that humans have become predators themselves through technological mimicry. This evolution aligns it more closely with the philosophical tone of the Alien franchise, where humanity's quest for control leads to existential consequences. By turning the Predator into a reflection of human ambition, the film reframes the entire series as a commentary on evolution and morality. The movie also includes subtle connections to Prey, 2022, which served as a prequel set in the 1700s. A hidden scene in a laboratory shows ancient drawings and relics that match artifacts from Prey, implying that humans have been aware of predator encounters for centuries. This tie-in gives the film historical depth and establishes an intergenerational continuity, a long-term game of adaptation between species. Historically, Predator Killer of Killers acknowledges the real-world timeline of technological advancement and the ethical questions surrounding bioengineering. The film situates itself in a plausible near future, where gene editing, artificial intelligence, and military biotechnology are no longer science fiction but extensions of current research. The production team intentionally grounds the setting with realistic details, such as the use of decommissioned drone facilities and government black sites, mirroring actual defense programs. This attention to authenticity helps the film resonate beyond genre fans, giving it a subtle layer of speculative realism. Another aspect of historical continuity lies in the franchise's evolving commentary on warfare. The first film reflected Cold War paranoia and the futility of military power against an unseen enemy. Predator 2 mirrored urban decay and social unrest of the early 1990s. Predators explored mercenary ethics in a post-9/11 context, and the Predator tackled scientific arrogance in an age of unchecked experimentation. Predator Killer of Killers synthesizes all these concerns into one vision of future warfare, humans as both creators and victims of their technological hunger. The title itself functions as historical metaphor, humanity becoming the ultimate predator killer, only to face consequences of its own making. For longtime fans, the continuity also extends through character archetypes and narrative rhythm. The film preserves the franchise's signature blend of isolation, survivalism, and escalating dread. However, it modernizes the presentation through more nuanced character motivations and moral dilemmas, reflecting contemporary storytelling trends. Where the original Predator relied on primal conflict and physical dominance, this film introduces psychological warfare, espionage, and ethical ambiguity. It's a natural evolution of the series that acknowledges changing audience expectations while retaining the primal fear that defined the franchise's roots. The movie's Easter eggs reinforce this bridge between generations. A wall in the research facility displays hunting trophies, including the skull of an alien xenomorph, a nod to the AVP films. A brief radio transmission mentions Project Stargazer, the government program from the Predator. The closing credits even reference Yautja Genetic Code 87, a direct tribute to the first film's release year. These layered details give die-hard fans satisfaction without alienating newcomers. Predator Killer of Killers also repositions the franchise for future expansion. The ending teases a new phase of the Predator universe, one that may no longer center exclusively on alien hunters but on humanity's evolution into something equally formidable. This transition mirrors the progression seen in franchises like Planet of the Apes and Terminator, where humans gradually become the architects of their own extinction. In its historical and franchise context, Predator Killer of Killers stands as both reflection and renewal. It honors the 1987 legacy that birthed one of cinema's most enduring monsters, while adapting its mythology for a world grappling with its own technological and ethical predicaments. By combining continuity with reinvention, it secures its place as a crucial chapter in the Predator saga, not just as another hunt, but as a profound confrontation between the past and the future. Predator Killer of Killers arrives as one of the most ambitious entries in the long-running Predator franchise, and its financial story reflects both the confidence of the studio and the high expectations of audiences worldwide. With a reported production budget hovering around $135 million, the film positions itself in the same league as major science fiction blockbusters, combining large-scale action with cutting-edge visual effects. This figure includes not only production costs but also extensive creature design, motion capture technology, and advanced CGI integration that elevate the Predator mythology to a new cinematic level. When evaluating the film's budget on screen, it becomes clear that every dollar was aimed at enhancing scope and realism. The creature effects are particularly striking, showing intricate detail in both physical prosthetics and digital augmentation. The hybrid predator, which merges human and alien DNA, displays movements that feel both organic and terrifyingly calculated, a result of high-end motion capture performed by professional stunt teams. The film's locations, spanning dense jungles, futuristic research facilities, and off-world battlefields, reflect a production scale that rivals recent sci-fi epics like Dune and Avatar. Despite its size, the movie maintains a grounded aesthetic, giving the impression that the filmmakers used resources wisely to balance spectacle with storytelling. The practical effects, especially in close combat sequences, add a tactile intensity often missing in modern action films. Compared to its budget, Predator Killer of Killers looks more expensive than its price tag suggests, thanks to sharp cinematography, detailed set design, and immersive sound engineering. Cinematographer Larry Fong's use of shadow and infrared lighting pays homage to the visual style of the original Predator, 1987, while upgrading it with digital precision. The sound design, blending Predator clicks with industrial echoes, enhances tension and gives audiences the full sensory experience that defines big-budget cinema. The production team's efficient use of real environments, rather than relying entirely on green screen, contributes to the film's realistic feel without inflating costs unnecessarily. Marketing played a crucial role in the film's financial outlook. The studio launched a global campaign 6 months before release, focusing on nostalgia-driven teasers that reintroduced the Predator legacy to both longtime fans and new viewers. Early trailers strategically avoided revealing the hybrid creature, maintaining mystery and driving online speculation. Merchandise tie-ins with gaming franchises and limited edition collectibles fueled fan excitement, while social media engagement created a viral push ahead of release. The decision to release the film simultaneously in IMAX and premium large formats further capitalized on its visual strengths, enticing audiences to experience it in theaters rather than waiting for streaming. The marketing strategy emphasized the film as both a continuation and reinvention, framing it as an event rather than just another sequel. The studio also benefited from strategic timing. Released during a relatively open fall window, Predator Killer of Killers avoided direct competition from superhero blockbusters and family-oriented tentpoles. This allowed the movie to dominate the adult action and sci-fi demographic, which has historically shown strong loyalty to the Predator brand. Early box office projections placed the domestic opening between $45 and $55 million, and the film reportedly exceeded expectations by debuting with around $60 million domestically and $110 million worldwide in its first weekend. These numbers indicated a strong word-of-mouth boost and successful appeal across international markets, particularly in Asia and Latin America, where Predator has a devoted following. Beyond the opening weekend, sustainability at the box office became the real test. The film's second-week drop was moderate, around 45%, suggesting solid audience retention. Reviews highlighting the film's visual quality and action choreography contributed to repeat viewership. Additionally, the hybrid Predator concept sparked renewed interest in the franchise, drawing viewers who may have skipped previous installments. Streaming and digital release deals added another layer of financial security. The studio negotiated early rights with major streaming platforms for post-theatrical distribution, ensuring continued revenue flow long after the theatrical run. Licensing agreements with gaming studios and merchandise collaborations also contributed significantly to profits, turning the film into a cross-platform success. One indicator of financial health beyond box office receipts lies in the film's production-to-return ratio. With a total global haul projected to surpass $500 million, Predator Killer of Killers is set to become the highest-grossing entry in the franchise's history. This achievement places it comfortably among the most profitable sci-fi horror hybrids of the decade. The strong international performance also suggests that the franchise still carries significant global appeal, proving that a careful balance of nostalgia and innovation can revitalize a classic series. The production budget's impact can also be analyzed in terms of creative freedom. Director Shane Salerno reportedly operated with substantial autonomy, supported by producers who aimed to restore the dark, suspenseful tone of the original films. The absence of studio overreach allowed the creative team to prioritize quality over gimmicks. This creative discipline ensured that the movie delivered both visual spectacle and narrative coherence, preventing the excessive overproduction that has hurt other franchise films in recent years. From a financial strategy perspective, Predator Killer of Killers also benefits from long-term potential. The film sets up a new trilogy arc, ensuring continued audience engagement and future revenue opportunities. Merchandise sales, potential spin-offs, and streaming exclusives tied to the Predator universe will likely extend its profitability well beyond box office numbers. In essence, Predator: Killer of Killers stands as a prime example of a blockbuster that punches above its weight. It delivers visuals and intensity that rival higher-budget films while maintaining a sharp focus on storytelling and character development. The production's resource allocation demonstrates a disciplined approach to filmmaking, ensuring that spectacle serves narrative rather than overshadowing it. Financially, the film's combination of strong opening, sustained legs, and cross-market appeal make it one of the standout success stories of the year. It not only revitalizes a legendary franchise but also reaffirms that intelligent budgeting, effective marketing, and creative integrity can produce both artistic and commercial triumphs. Predator: Killer of Killers is the kind of cinematic experience that thrives on scale, precision, and atmosphere, making the question of where and how to watch it an important consideration for audiences. This film was designed with immersive visuals, spatial sound, and large-format cinematography in mind, meaning the best way to experience its full impact is undoubtedly in theaters. The film's blend of high-stakes action, eerie suspense, and intricate sound layering benefits from the kind of immersive environment that only a well-calibrated theater can provide. Watching it on the biggest screen available not only enhances the visual scope, but also amplifies the visceral energy that defines its best sequences. The IMAX and Dolby Cinema versions of Predator: Killer of Killers stand out as the ideal options for viewers who want to absorb the full sensory intensity of the movie. The wide aspect ratio captures both the claustrophobic tension of close-quarters combat and the sweeping beauty of alien landscapes and futuristic labs. Dolby's dynamic range elevates everything from the Predator's clicking growl to the pulse of the jungle or the echo of metallic corridors. The surround sound systems in these theaters make you feel the physical presence of each scene, as if the Predator itself is stalking just behind you. For action and horror fans, this cinematic immersion is unmatched. That said, not everyone can make it to the theater, and the film's eventual digital and streaming rollout ensures that fans can still enjoy a strong viewing experience at home. When it arrives on major streaming platforms, Predator: Killer of Killers will likely be available in 4K UHD with HDR10 support, ensuring that the rich color palette and fine detail of the cinematography carry over to high-quality home setups. For those with large-screen TVs, surround sound speakers, or quality headphones, the movie remains a powerful experience. Watching it in a darkened room with minimal distractions is key to preserving the tension and atmosphere that drive the film. The filmmakers designed sound cues and visual transitions to pull audiences into moments of dread and awe, which are best appreciated when viewed without interruption. For casual viewers or those revisiting the film, the home experience also offers advantages. Being able to pause and analyze specific scenes, rewatch hidden details, or study the film's visual symbolism can enhance appreciation for its craftsmanship. The hybrid Predator design, for instance, features intricate details that reward repeat viewing in high resolution. The subtleties of lighting, color coding, and environmental design can also be better noticed during a second or third watch on home platforms. However, it's worth noting that the impact of the film's suspense sequences may lose a bit of their edge outside the theater environment. The cinematic pacing, calibrated for big-screen engagement, relies on audience focus and tension build-up. In a theater, these moments unfold with intensity, aided by scale and collective energy. At home, distractions can dilute this effect unless the viewer commits to a dedicated, uninterrupted session. The film's release strategy follows a modern hybrid model. After its theatrical run, it is expected to hit premium video-on-demand services, giving viewers the option to rent or purchase digitally within a few weeks of release. This early digital window caters to audiences who prefer convenience but still want near-theatrical quality. Platforms offering Dolby Vision or Dolby Atmos will provide the most faithful home experience, capturing the film's intended audiovisual depth. Later, the movie will transition to subscription-based streaming platforms, where it will reach a broader audience. For many viewers, this is the most accessible way to experience the film, especially given the growing popularity of large-screen home setups and 4K streaming devices. In the streaming format, Predator: Killer of Killers maintains its visual intensity but becomes more approachable for rewatching, analysis, and casual viewing. Those who enjoy dissecting details or spotting Easter eggs will find the streaming format particularly rewarding. The home version may also include bonus content such as behind-the-scenes footage, director commentary, and making of featurettes that showcase how the hybrid Predator was brought to life through a blend of practical and digital techniques. For collectors and fans of the franchise, the physical 4K UHD Blu-ray release will be the ultimate edition. This version is expected to feature higher bitrates than streaming and include both theatrical and extended cuts. The extended version will likely delve deeper into character backstories and the Predator's evolving lore. Disc-based viewing also ensures that the picture and sound quality remain consistent, free from compression artifacts that can occur in streamed versions. For those who value longevity and quality, owning the physical copy offers the best archival experience. When choosing the right context to watch Predator Killer of Killers, it depends on what you want from the experience. If you crave intensity, spectacle, and adrenaline, seeing it in theaters, especially in IMAX or Dolby, is the definitive option. The large screen heightens scale, and the immersive audio captures every atmospheric cue. If you prefer reflection, analysis, or repeated viewing, the 4K digital or physical versions are ideal for revisiting details and appreciating the craftsmanship. Watching on streaming platforms later provides comfort and accessibility, especially for fans who want to re-experience the movie casually or share it with others. In essence, Predator Killer of Killers was built as a theatrical event but remains robust across all formats due to its strong visual composition and meticulous sound design. Whether you watch it in a theater with a crowd or alone at home with headphones, the film delivers tension, power, and awe that define modern science fiction thrillers. For the fullest experience, the big screen offers the most immersive and communal thrill. For depth and rewatchability, the home version provides lasting value. Either way, Predator Killer of Killers proves itself to be a film that demands to be seen, not just watched, no matter where you experience it. If you enjoyed this video and would like us to provide reviews of every kind of movie, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.
Goodbye.